Have you ever wondered what heat, thermal energy, and temperature are? Let's discuss what all three are and how they relate to each other. Let's start with heat. Most would assume that heat is what we feel on a hot summer day, or perhaps when we sip a hot cup of coffee. However, scientists define heat as thermal energy transferred from one substance to another due to a temperature difference between the two substances. You may ask yourself, how does heat transfer thermal energy from one thing to another? Well, there are three ways that heat transfers thermal energy. They are through conduction, convection, and radiation. Let's take a closer look at these three modes of heat transfer. Conduction is the transfer of thermal energy from a warmer side of an object to the cooler side of the object, or from a warmer object to a cooler object. For example, if you heat up a metal pot, the warmer portion of the pot transfers the thermal energy to the cooler side of the pot. If you were to place a metal spoon in the pot, as the pot warms up, it will transfer the energy to the cooler spoon, making it warmer. Next is convection. Convection is the transfer of thermal energy through liquids or gases. For example, when you boil a pot of water, the water closest to the flame warms up. Warmer liquid rises as cooler liquid replaces it on the bottom. The motion you see in a rolling boil is heat convection. The same motion occurs in air. As air warms up, it rises, and as it cools, the air falls. Last, we have radiation. Radiation is the transfer of energy through electromagnetic waves. For example, the sun radiates electromagnetic waves, also known as energy, towards the earth, in the same way a fire radiates energy to the cooler objects around it. Now that we have discussed what heat is, let's discuss what thermal energy is. Thermal energy is the total amount of energy within a substance. All substances are made up of atoms and molecules. When molecules warm up, they move faster, and when they cool down, they move slower. The warmer an object is, the more thermal energy it contains. We can measure thermal energy with temperature. Temperature is a measure of how hot or cold something is. We measure temperature in degrees Celsius, degrees Fahrenheit, or in kelvins. The difference in all three scales is just preference. Fahrenheit is used in the United States, whereas most other countries use Celsius. Kelvin is a unit of measure recognized by most scientists. All three scales still have set points to measure the same temperature, just in different units. For example, they all measure the boiling point and freezing point of water, but in different units as seen in this figure. Let's recap. Heat is a transfer of thermal energy from one substance to another. Thermal energy is the total amount of energy within a substance, and temperature measures that energy.